The Christmas lights still twinkled when the knock rattled our front door. Red and blue strobes cut across the snow as a black SUV screeched to a halt outside. Men in heavy jackets leapt out their boots, crunching on the frozen ground. The brass knocker slammed again, harder this time. "Mr. Thompson, FBI, open up immediately." My wife clutched my arm, her eyes fixed on the small box sitting under our tree. "Don't touch it. Don't you see?" she whispered again, trembling. I had frozen hours earlier, but in that moment I understood this wasn't Christmas morning anymore. It was something else. The living room glowed in soft amber light from the fireplace, the crackling logs sending up occasional sparks that snapped against the iron grate. Outside, snow continued to fall in delicate silence, the kind of Christmas morning you'd expect on a postcard. Inside, however, there was nothing picturesque about the way my heart pounded or how my hands refused to stop trembling. The box sat there, wrapped in green paper flecked with silver snowflakes tied with a neat red bow. No tag, no note. Just there, like it had grown out of the pine needles scattered beneath the tree. I remember the exact moment I saw it. James, my 26-year-old son, had come home late the night before. He'd been different these past few months, distant, distracted, but I chalked it up to stress from his new job in cybersecurity. Working with classified stuff, he'd told us vaguely. I didn't push. Every parent learns when to step back. That morning when we shuffled into the living room in our robes, coffee steaming in our mugs, he was already there. He didn't look at us right away, just mumbled something about leaving a surprise and headed back upstairs. My wife Linda noticed before I did. Her hand tightened around my wrist. "Where did that come from?" she asked, her voice hushed. I followed her gaze and saw the box perfectly placed, perfectly still in front of the tree skirt. At first I laughed, an instinctive, dismissive chuckle. "It's a gift," I said. "What else would it be?" But Linda didn't laugh. Her face had drained of color, her eyes locked on the box with something close to horror. "Don't touch it," she whispered. I frowned, the sound of her fear cutting through my amusement. "What are you talking about? It's from James. A Christmas present." "No," she said firmly, shaking her head. "Look at it. Look closer." So I did, and that was when my stomach lurched. The wrapping paper was neat, too neat. Crisp corners edges taped down with surgical precision. Not the clumsy folds or hurried tape job of a young man wrapping a last-minute gift. This was meticulous. Military meticulous. And the bow, it wasn't a store-bought stick-on, but hand-tied. Symmetrical, flawless. There was something unnatural about its perfection, something cold. My hand hovered in the air, then withdrew. Linda whispered again, almost inaudible. "Don't you see?" For the first time in our 34 years together, I saw real terror on her face. I tried to brush it off. "Linda, come on. It's Christmas morning. You're letting your imagination run away." But the truth was, my own chest was tightening. Something about the silence in the room, the way the box just sat there, as if it were watching us, waiting for us to make a move. James reappeared on the staircase, rubbing his eyes. "What's going on?" I pointed. This gift. What's inside?" He froze mid-step. His expression flickered in an instant, too quick for Linda to notice, but I saw it. A flash of guilt. Or was it fear? "Just something I thought you'd like," he said after a pause. His voice didn't carry its usual ease. Linda's voice broke. "James, what did you do?" His jaw tightened. "Nothing." "Dad, don't open it yet, all right? Just wait. Wait." The word chilled me. Whoever tells someone to wait before opening a Christmas gift? I stood. My knees creaked as I rose, the old familiar protest of a body past 60, but my mind was sharper than it had been in years. Something was wrong. I moved toward the tree. James suddenly stepped between me and the box. "Seriously, don't touch it." That was the moment the fear truly set in. My son wasn't joking. He wasn't smirking or teasing or hiding some elaborate prank. He was serious. Gravely serious. "What's in it?" I demanded. His lips pressed together. His eyes darted to Linda, then back to me. "You'll know soon enough." "Soon enough?" The fire popped. The clock on the mantel ticked louder than it should have. My wife's hand found mine, her palm clammy, her grip desperate. "James," I said, lowering my voice, "if you've done something." "I haven't. He cut in too quickly. Dad, please, trust me." I wanted to. God help me, I wanted to. But the way he said it, the way his gaze flickered to the window like he was waiting for something or someone outside, made my blood run cold. And that was when the knock thundered at the front door. The sound reverberated through the house, deep and insistent. Linda gasped. James stiffened. My own heart nearly stopped. Another knock, harder, louder. I staggered towards the foyer, the wood floor cold under my slippers. Through the frosted glass, I saw shadows, large figures moving with purpose. Then the unmistakable flash of red and blue strobes cut across the white snow outside. I turned back toward the living room. James stood, rigid fists clenched at his sides. The box remained under the tree, small and silent, as though it had summoned them here. "Dad," James said quietly, "don't open the door yet." But it was too late. The brass knocker slammed once more, rattling the whole frame. A voice commanding, "Urgent, Mr. Thompson, FBI, open up immediately." Linda clutched my arm. My eyes darted to the box, then to my son, then to the door. My pulse thundered in my ears. Christmas morning was gone, replaced by something darker, something I wasn't ready for. And the box still waited. The pounding didn't stop. Each slam of the brass knocker seemed to echo through my ribs, shaking loose something primal in me. Fear, anger, confusion. Linda's nails dug into my forearm, as if holding me back from the door. Through the frosted glass, I saw movement again, dark shapes, shifting, heavy boots crunching against snow. Not carolers, not neighbors. These men carried authority like a weapon, and it pressed against our home from the outside in. "Mr. Thompson," the voice boomed again, "open the door or we'll breach." Breaching, on Christmas morning. James swore under his breath, low enough I almost missed it. His face had drained, pale lips, tight shoulders, tense. He looked like a man expecting a sentence, not a visit. I whispered, "What did you do?" But he didn't answer. The knock turned into pounding fists. "Last warning." My throat felt raw, though I hadn't spoken. I looked at Linda. She was shaking her head, eyes darting between me, James, and the wrapped box under the tree. I moved anyway. Habit, maybe. 63 years of doing what was right, what was expected. You open your door when the government comes knocking. That was the America I grew up in. I twisted the knob. The cold December air rushed in sharp as knives. 5 men in dark jackets stamped into the porch, light emblazoned letters screaming FBI across their chests. One of them, tall with a square jaw, shouted over the wind. "Step back, sir. We need to enter." My voice cracked. What is this about?" The man didn't hesitate. "Suspicious package. We have reason to believe there's a threat inside your home. Step back now." Behind me, Linda gasped. My eyes snapped to the box under the tree, and for a moment the world tilted. A threat. James muttered something too quiet for them to hear, but I caught it. "I told you not to touch it." The agents swept in, boots pounding across our hardwood floors. 2 peeled off toward the living room, weapons drawn. Another one barked into his radio. The lead agent turned to me. "Everyone stay calm. Sir, ma'am, step aside." Linda pressed against me, trembling. James lingered on the stairs, face rigid, jaw clenched. One of the agents reached the tree. His gloved hand gestured toward the box. "There. Confirmed package." "Copy," the lead said. He looked at James, then eyes narrowing. "Who placed it?" Silence. My heart raced. The truth hovered in the air like smoke. James finally spoke, his voice flat. I did. The room froze. The agent's gaze sharpened. Step down here, now. James obeyed, descending slowly, each step groaning under his weight. He raised his hand slightly, palms open, not in surrender exactly, but something close. Linda's voice broke thin and brittle. It's just a gift. My son left it for us. It's Christmas morning, for God's sake. The agent didn't even glance at her. Ma'am, with all due respect, packages don't bring us here without reason. I swallowed hard. What reason? The agent studied James. We traced an intercepted communication last night. There was mention of a delivery coordinates matching this address. Your name came up. James didn't flinch. He stared at the box. It's not what you think. But what was it? My mind raced through possibilities. Bombs, contraband drugs, something worse. My son, my flesh and blood, could not have dragged us into something criminal. Could he? The lead agent motioned. Another man pulled a flat, hard-sided case from his pack, laying it open on the floor. Inside gleamed tools I didn't recognize, scanners. Probes, something with a screen that glowed blue. Bomb squad en route, the agent muttered into his radio. But we'll prelim. Linda's knees buckled. I caught her before she hit the floor, guiding her to the sofa. Her voice cracked in my ear. William, please. Tell them it's nothing. I couldn't. Because I didn't know. I watched as the agent crouched near the tree. He moved carefully like a man edging up to a wild animal. His scanner beeped softly as he passed it along the surface of the gift. No immediate alarm, but his brow furrowed. He pulled a pen light, shining it across the seams. That's when I noticed tiny puncture holes, almost invisible against the patterned paper. Breathing holes. My gut twisted. Linda's warning echoed. Don't you see? The agent's straightened voice, grim. Something alive is inside. The word slammed through me like a hammer. Something alive. Linda let out a muffled sob. James shifted his weight, looking everywhere but at us. What is it? I demanded, my voice louder than I meant. The agent's expression didn't change. That's what we're going to find out. The room felt smaller. The ticking clock, the crackle of the fire, even the faint whistle of wind outside, all of it pressed in. The box, sitting smugly under our tree, seemed to glow with menace. And for the first time in my life, I was afraid of my own son. James finally spoke. Voice strained. I didn't mean for this to happen. The lead agent's jaw tightened. Then you'd better start explaining, because right now, son, this looks very bad. The fire popped again, a loud, sharp crack. Linda flinched. I couldn't move. Christmas morning had become a crime scene, and the box wasn't just a mystery anymore, it was evidence. The agents spread out through the house, their radios crackling. Every corner, every doorway suddenly felt like a potential threat. Linda sat stiffly on the sofa, one hand over her mouth, eyes fixed on that damned box. I stood near the fireplace, clutching the mantel as though steadying myself against an invisible storm. And James, my only son, stood in the center of the room, like a man balancing on a cliff's edge. The lead agent's voice cut through the air. You said you placed it. Explain, now. James swallowed hard. His Adam's apple bobbed once, twice. It's not dangerous. Not like you think. I didn't know they were watching. They, the agent pressed. Who's they? James looked at me then. For a brief, terrible moment, I saw the boy he used to be, the one who built model rockets in the garage, who'd wake me at dawn to watch Saturday cartoons. But that boy was gone, replaced by a man carrying secrets heavy enough to summon the FBI to our door. James said quietly, What's in the box? He didn't answer right away. His silence filled the room thicker than smoke. Talk, the agent snapped. James's shoulders sagged. It's research. Biological research. Something experimental. I wasn't supposed to take it out of the lab, but... Linda gasped. You brought it here to our home on Christmas. His eyes flickered with shame. I didn't have a choice. The agent stiffened. You're telling me that box contains unauthorized biological material? James flinched at the phrasing, but didn't deny it. My stomach sank. Son, why would you do this? He rubbed his temples. Because I didn't trust them. I found out things I wasn't supposed to. They were working on something dangerous, too dangerous. I thought if I got a sample out, I could— He faltered, his voice breaking. I could protect you. Protect everyone. Protect. The word didn't fit. Not with the trembling in Linda's hands, not with the FBI tearing through our Christmas morning. The lead agent's jaw tightened. You've made a serious mistake. That box will be secured immediately. No one touches it. James's voice cracked with desperation. Don't let them take it. You don't understand. If it disappears into their system, no one will ever know what they were doing. Dad, you have to believe me. Believe him. My son, who'd never once lied about his grades, who used to confess when he broke a window before I even noticed. But this wasn't a broken window. This was a chasm opening beneath our feet. Linda turned to me, her eyes swimming with tears. William, say something. But I had nothing. My throat was locked, my mind torn between a father's instinct to protect and a citizen's duty to obey. The agent gestured. 2 men approached the tree, moving with careful precision. One carried a reinforced container, the kind I'd only seen in news footage during outbreaks or chemical scares. James lunged forward. No! Instantly, weapons were drawn. The sight of those black barrels aimed at my son sent ice through my veins. Step back, the agent barked. James froze, his chest heaving. He raised his hands again, fingers trembling. Please, just listen. It's not a bomb. It's not a weapon. It's alive, but it's not dangerous. The agent didn't waver. You let us decide that. Linda sobbed openly now, her shoulders shaking. I reached for her hand, but she pulled away, burying her face instead. I turned back to James. What's alive? His eyes locked onto mine, desperate pleading. A test subject, something engineered. But harmless, Dad. I swear. The words rolled around my skull, colliding with each other. Engineered, harmless, swear, nothing fit together. The agent gave a sharp nod. The men inched closer to the tree, lowering the reinforced container. James shouted again. You can't just take it. They'll bury the truth. I stepped forward instinctively. Wait, let him explain. The agent glared at me, firm, but not unkind. Sir, with all due respect, your son is under investigation. You need to step aside. I didn't move, not yet. James's voice cracked. Dad, please. Trust me like you used to. Just this once. My heart twisted. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But the sight of Linda trembling, the weight of federal agents surrounding us, the memory of that knock at the door, all of it crushed the instinct flat. I don't know if I can, I whispered. His face crumpled. The agent gave another command. The men reached the box. One slid a probe beneath the ribbon, cutting it cleanly. The paper rustled as they eased it away. The sound alone nearly drove me mad. Christmas wrapping shouldn't sound like that, like skin peeling, like secrets being flayed open. Inside a plain cardboard shoebox, brown, unmarked. The agent lifted it carefully, setting it into the reinforced container. The lid shut with a metallic click. Just like that, the box under our tree was no longer ours. James sagged, his fight draining away. His lips moved silently, maybe a prayer, maybe a curse. The agent turned back to him. You're coming with us. Linda cried out. No, please, he's our son. He didn't mean any harm. The agent's eyes softened for a flicker of a second, but his voice remained steel. Intent doesn't erase action. He'll answer questions at headquarters. 2 men stepped forward, securing James's wrists with practiced efficiency. The sound of the cuffs clicking shut reverberated through me like nails on stone. James didn't resist. He just looked at me one last time, his eyes begging for something I couldn't give. belief, forgiveness, hope. But all I gave him was silence. And in that silence I felt something break. The front door slammed behind them, and with it the warmth of our home seemed to collapse into itself. Red and blue lights flickered against the frosted windows, painting our living room in ghostly shadows. The sofa where Linda sat, clutching a tissue, looked like a crime scene prop. I stood by the mantel hand, still gripping the wood as though I could keep my world from sliding apart. My son, our only child, had just been let out in handcuffs. The agents hadn't even let us hug him. One glance back over his shoulder, eyes wide with something between fear and desperation, was all I had left. Linda's voice cracked. "William, do something!" "What would you have me do?" My words came harsher than I intended. "You saw them. You heard them." He admitted it himself. Her eyes, red and brimming with tears, glared at me. "He's our son! And you stood there like some stranger while they took him away." I felt the weight of her accusation deep in my gut. She was right. I had stood still, rooted by fear and disbelief while the federal government claimed our boy. Before I could respond, the lead agent returned, brushing snow from his jacket. He shut the door behind him, his expression less severe now. "Mr. Thompson, Mrs. Thompson, we'll need statements. You'll both be escorted to the field office shortly." Linda bristled. "We're not criminals." "No one said you were the agent," replied evenly. "But your son brought federal property into your home. We need to understand what you knew." I wanted to protest, to demand answers first, but the words caught in my throat. Instead, I followed him numbly as he guided us toward a waiting SUV. The ride was silent, the interior dim, except for the dashboard glow. Linda's hand rested in mine, trembling. Outside, our quiet suburban street slipped by, distorted by emergency lights. Our neighbors would wake soon, peek through curtains and see the spectacle. Merry Christmas, Thompson family. At headquarters, they separated us. A cold hallway, fluorescent lights buzzing, a chair that felt deliberately uncomfortable. Then the door clicked shut, leaving me alone with another agent, a younger man, his hair clipped short, his expression unreadable. He sat across from me, flipping open a notebook. "Mr. Thompson, let's start simple. When did you last see your son before this morning?" I cleared my throat, the sound rough. "Last night. He came home late, around 11, maybe later. I was in bed, heard him come in." "Did he have anything with him?" I closed my eyes, picturing James trudging upstairs, shoulders slumped. "I don't know. Maybe." He didn't say a word. The agent's pen scratched against paper. "And the package under your tree. When did you first notice it?" "This morning." I hesitated. Linda saw it first. She knew something was wrong. He looked up sharply. "What do you mean wrong?" She said not to touch it, said it didn't look right. I rubbed my temples. She was right. The agent leaned forward. "Did your son ever discuss his work with you? His projects, his access?" I shook my head. "He always said it was classified. Cybersecurity, that's all. Nothing about biological research." The words made my stomach clench. "No, never." The agent scribbled again, then set his pen down. His tone shifted lower, almost probing. "Mr. Thompson, do you believe your son is capable of betraying his country?" The question hit me like a fist. My mouth went dry. "He's my son," I said, finally, voice raw. "He's a good man. He wouldn't." "Wouldn't what?" I faltered. Images flooded my mind. James building rockets in the garage. James helping neighbors shovel driveways. James hugging me when I retired. Then James this morning, pale, secretive, begging me to trust him. "Wouldn't hurt anyone," I whispered. The agent's gaze didn't soften. But he admitted removing federal property. That's already a crime. I gripped the edge of the table. "Then tell me what's in that box. Tell me why they came to my house. Because I don't believe for a second my boy meant harm." The agent paused, then closed his notebook. "That's above your clearance. For now, what matters is whether you helped him." I didn't. My voice cracked. I didn't know. A long silence stretched. Finally, he stood. "We'll verify that." Hours blurred. Linda and I reunited briefly in a waiting area, her face streaked with tears, her voice hoarse. She clutched my hand like it was the last rope keeping her afloat. "They won't tell me where he is," she whispered. "They won't tell me anything either." My voice shook with anger I didn't know how to control. A wall-mounted clock ticked each second louder than the last. Christmas Day slipped past unnoticed, stolen from us. At last, another door opened. The lead agent returned his jaw tight. "Your son is in holding. For now." Linda surged to her feet. "I want to see him." "That's not possible." Her face crumpled. "Please, he's our only child." The agent hesitated, then shook his head. "He's part of an active investigation. He admitted possession of unauthorized biological material. Until we know exactly what we're dealing with, he stays isolated." Biological material. The phrase scraped across my nerves like glass. "What is it?" I demanded, voice louder than I intended. "What's inside that box?" The agent's gaze flickered just briefly, but enough. Something in his eyes confirmed it was worse than I imagined. "I can't disclose that," he said flatly. Linda sobbed again, sinking back into her chair. I clenched my fists until my knuckles whitened. The silence between us thickened until the agent finally added, "Your son insists he took it to protect you, to keep it from being misused." My chest tightened. He really had said that. He meant it. But then the agent leaned in, his voice sharp as a blade. "Or he's lying. And if he is, you may never see him outside of a prison cell again." The fluorescent lights buzzed louder. Linda's cries echoed in my ears. And all I could think over and over was the look on my son's face when they closed the cuffs around his wrists. The look of a man who believed he was saving his family while destroying it instead. The day dragged on inside the sterile walls of the field office. Christmas carols might have been playing somewhere outside, but in here the soundtrack was buzzing lights, squeaking shoes, and the occasional muffled shout behind closed doors. Time didn't flow. It congealed. Linda and I sat together on a cold bench. She leaned against me, her eyes red, her voice reduced to a whisper. "William, we can't just sit here. He needs us." I stroked her trembling hand, though my own felt equally unsteady. "What do you want me to do? They won't let us near him." She turned her face up toward me, desperation in every line. "Fight for him. He's our boy." "Our boy." The phrase lodged in my chest like a thorn. Before I could answer the lead agent, his name tag finally registered in my exhausted mind. Special Agent Carter returned. His expression was a mask carved from stone. "We're moving him." Linda bolted upright. "Moving where?" "Secure facility until we determine what he removed and why." Her voice cracked. "Please, he's not a criminal!" Carter didn't blink. "That's for us to decide." I stepped forward, anger finally breaking through the numbness. "Agent Carter, you owe us answers. What's in that box?" For the first time, his mask shifted. He hesitated. Then, in a low voice, "All I can tell you is that your son smuggled out a living organism engineered in a government lab. Its purpose is classified." The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. Engineered. Living. Those weren't words that belonged in our quiet suburban Christmas morning. Linda's hand clutched mine like a lifeline. "What if it's dangerous?" Carter's gaze didn't waver. "That's what we're trying to find out." He started to leave, but I stepped into his path. "I need 5 minutes with him. Just 5. Carter's eyes narrowed. "That's against protocol." I held his stare, forcing steel into my voice. "Then break it. He's my son." A tense silence stretched before Carter finally sighed. 2 minutes, no promises. The room they led me to was dim, its cinder block walls closing in. A single metal table sat in the middle, flanked by 2 chairs. And there he was, James. My boy. He looked smaller, somehow hunched forward, his wrists still cuffed. His eyes lifted when I entered, and for a moment they brightened. Dad. My throat tightened. James. The guard stepped aside, giving me a curt nod. 2 minutes. I sat across from him, searching his face for answers. He looked tired, older than 26. Shadows carved beneath his eyes. Why, son? My voice cracked. Why bring that thing here to us? His jaw clenched. Because I didn't know where else to go. I couldn't trust anyone else. Trust me with what? He leaned forward, voice low and urgent. They're lying about what it is. It's not a weapon, it's a prototype. Something they grew, something alive. And they're trying to make more. But it's unstable. Dangerous if mishandled. I couldn't let them keep it hidden. His words tumbled out fast, each one striking me like hailstones. I wanted to believe him. I needed to. But a father's belief felt like a brittle shield against the weight of federal charges. James, I whispered, do you realize what you've done? You've dragged us into this. Your mother, she's breaking. His eyes glistened. I'm sorry. I never wanted that. I thought I was doing the right thing. I closed my eyes. The same phrase repeated. The right thing. But how could the right thing look like Christmas morning invaded by the FBI? The guard cleared his throat. Time. I reached across the table, my fingertips brushing his cuffed hands. Listen to me. Whatever happens, you tell the truth. All of it. Don't hold anything back. He nodded faintly. I will. Dad, you still believe me, right? The words caught in my throat. Belief was a fragile thing, and mine was cracking under the weight of everything I'd seen. But I couldn't crush him now. Yes, I said finally, I believe you. His lips trembled with a ghost of a smile. The guard pulled me back. The door closed, and the fragile connection between us snapped like a thread. Hours later, Linda and I were escorted out of the building. Snow still fell in soft sheets, muting the world. But inside me, nothing was soft. We drove home in silence. The house loomed dark Christmas lights, still twinkling pathetically against the weight of what had happened. The tree stood in the corner, stripped of its menace, now that the box was gone. But it no longer felt like ours. Linda collapsed into the armchair, staring at the empty space beneath the branches. It's ruined, she whispered. Everything. Christmas. Our family. All of it. I didn't argue, because she was right. I stood at the window watching snow drift beneath the street lamp. My reflection looked back at me, older, heavier, burdened. A man who no longer recognized his own life. And for the first time, anger rose above my fear. Not at my son, not at the FBI, but at whatever power had twisted his life into this. Whoever had convinced him that smuggling living research into his parents' living room was an act of heroism. Linda's voice broke through my thoughts. William, what if we never see him again? I turned to her, my chest aching. We will. Somehow we will. But even as I said it, doubt gnawed at the edges of my words. Because deep down I knew the truth, this was only the beginning. The following morning, Christmas decorations felt like mocking reminders. Ornaments glinted coldly in the pale sunlight. The stockings sagged forgotten. Even the smell of pine had turned sour in my nose. Linda barely moved from the armchair. She clutched a crumpled tissue in her hand, her eyes swollen from tears that refused to stop. I busied myself with pointless tasks, straightening cushions, refilling the firewood rack because the alternative was collapsing beside her. Then the phone rang. We both jolted. For a split second, hope flared in her eyes. Maybe it was James. Maybe they'd realized the mistake. I grabbed the receiver. Hello, Mr. Thompson. Agent Carter's voice was flat but measured. We need you to come down to the facility. There's been a development. What kind of development? Not over the phone. My stomach tightened. Is my son all right? A pause then. He's stable. For now. The line clicked dead. We arrived an hour later, led through the same sterile halls that had already become too familiar. Carter met us outside a reinforced observation room. His face was grimmer than I'd ever seen it. "What's happening?" I demanded. He exhaled. We examined the package. "What your son brought out isn't just an organism, it's intelligent." Linda's breath caught. Intelligent. Carter nodded. Not human, not animal. Something engineered, responsive to stimuli capable of patterned behavior. Whoever designed it wanted control, but what we've seen suggests adaptation. The words barely made sense. My mind reeled. "You're telling me that thing, whatever it is, can think." "To a degree," Carter said. "Enough to be dangerous. And your son claims it's harmless, that he was protecting it. That's why we need you here." He pushed open the observation window's cover. Inside, behind thick glass, sat the shoebox. The lid had been removed, and within it was something I can hardly describe, a small coiled mass, pale and shimmering, pulsing faintly as though breathing. Its surface shimmered like oil under light-shifting colors when it moved. Linda gripped my arm hard enough to hurt. Dear God. The thing twitched, almost as if sensing us. My breath caught in my throat. It uncurled slightly, revealing what looked like filaments or tendrils reaching toward the glass before retracting. Carter's voice was steady. It reacts when James speaks to it. Calms when he's near. We need to know if he's telling the truth about its nature, or if he's been compromised. Compromised, I asked. He looked me dead in the eye, manipulated, controlled. This thing may not just be alive, it may be influencing him. Linda shook her head violently. No, he's not. He wouldn't. But doubt gnawed at me. James's secrecy, his insistence that we trust him, his refusal to let the box go, it all replayed in my head. Carter gestured. We're allowing you a supervised visit. Sometimes family presence can trigger honesty. Ask him why he did this. Ask what he really believes. They brought James into the adjoining chamber. He looked exhausted, pale under the harsh lights, but his eyes lit faintly when he saw us through the glass. Mom. Dad. His voice cracked through the speaker. I'm sorry. I didn't want it to be like this. Linda pressed against the glass, her palm flat. We just want the truth, James. Tell us. He turned toward the creature in the box, his expression softening. They're lying to you. It's not dangerous, it's scared. That's all. I swallowed hard. Son, listen to yourself. You brought this into our home. You put us in danger. I saved you, he shot back, desperation sharpening his tone. If I'd left it there, you'd never know what they're making. Dad, please look at it. Does that look like a weapon to you? I stared at the shimmering mass. It pulsed slowly, colors shifting like breath across water. Against my better judgment, I felt something. A faint tug at the edges of my thoughts. Not words exactly, but an impression. Loneliness. Fear. I staggered back, gripping the railing. Linda gasped. William. I felt it, I whispered. Carter's gaze sharpened. What do you mean? I shook my head, trying to clear it. It's like it wanted me to feel sorry for it. James's voice rang through the speaker. Because it's alive, Dad. Alive and innocent. They want to destroy it because they're afraid. Carter cut in firmly. Or it's projecting what it wants you to believe. That's how manipulation works. The room tilted. Who was telling the truth? My son pleading with everything he had left, or the agents carrying authority and suspicion like a shield? James pressed closer to the glass, his eyes burning. Dad, please. You always taught me to stand up when something's wrong. That's what I'm doing. Help me. Linda's sobs filled the observation deck. My own heart slammed against my ribs. Carter's voice was cold steel. Mr. Thompson, if you defend him, you risk being complicit. Think carefully before you answer. I stared at my son, then at the writhing, shimmering thing in the box. One looked at me with eyes I'd known since the day he was born. The other didn't have eyes at all, yet somehow I felt it watching. The choice threatened to crush me. That night they released us home again, pending further investigation. But sleep never came. The empty space beneath the Christmas tree was unbearable, a silent reminder of the box that had torn our lives apart. Linda whispered in the dark, her voice fragile. "William, do you think he's right? About it being harmless?" I stared at the ceiling, my mind heavy. I don't know. But in truth, I wasn't sure which terrified me more, the idea that James was lying, or the idea that he was telling the truth. Morning broke gray and heavy, the kind of winter sky that felt more like a lid pressed over the world than a ceiling of clouds. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my untouched coffee. Linda moved listlessly around the house, her robe dragging her shoulders bent. Neither of us had spoken much since returning home. Words felt useless now, as if nothing could stitch the wound that had been torn open. The phone rang again. We both froze. I lifted the receiver with a hand that felt heavier than stone. "Hello?" It was Agent Carter. His voice carried the weight of fatigue. "Mr. Thompson, I'm calling to update you. The organism your son brought out. It's contained. For now." "For now," I echoed bitterly. "We've determined it exhibits adaptive intelligence. It mimics emotional resonance projects, impressions. Could be benign, could be predatory. Too early to tell." "And my son?" "He's being held." "But—" Carter hesitated, his tone shifting. "I'll be honest with you. If his claims hold true, if he exposed a program outside authorized boundaries, he may not be the criminal here. He may be the whistleblower." My breath caught. Whistleblower. The word painted James in a different light, not as a reckless boy, but as a man standing against forces larger than himself. Carter added, "We're continuing the investigation. In the meantime, prepare yourselves. This could take months, maybe longer." The line went dead. Linda collapsed into a chair across from me, her face pale. "Did he say anything about James?" I nodded slowly. "He might not be the villain. He might have been trying to protect us after all." Her eyes filled with tears spilling freely down her cheeks. She reached across the table, gripping my hand with desperate strength. I knew it. I knew he wouldn't do this to hurt us. For the first time in days, I allowed myself to breathe, though the air still felt heavy. The weeks that followed blurred together. Journalists circled the neighborhood whispering about the Christmas Day incident. Our neighbors avoided eye contact. Church friends sent casseroles we couldn't eat. The house felt hollow, each twinkle of the Christmas lights a cruel reminder of what had happened under their glow. But I kept replaying James's words in my head, "Dad, please. You always taught me to stand up when something's wrong." Had I failed him by staying silent? Had I abandoned him in the moment he needed me most? Linda never stopped believing. Every night she whispered prayers for him, clutched old photo albums to her chest, and reminded me of who he'd been, the boy who fixed Mrs. Callahan's fence, without asking who spent hours tutoring kids at the library. "That's who he still is," she'd say. "Don't let them take that away from him." I wanted to believe her. Then one morning in the quiet stretch of February, a letter arrived. Government issue envelope. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside, a short note from James. Most of it was redacted black lines carving away the details. But enough remained. "Mom, Dad, I don't know how long they'll keep me, but I need you to know I did this for the right reasons. I couldn't stay silent. Please don't lose faith in me. I love you both more than anything. James." Linda pressed the paper to her lips, sobbing softly. I traced the ink with my finger, feeling both pride and grief in equal measure. Whatever he had done it believing it was right. And maybe that was the most dangerous, most admirable thing of all. Spring thawed the snow eventually, but the weight in our home didn't melt with it. Still, there were moments, small ones, that reminded me of hope. Linda laughing through her tears at an old Christmas ornament James made in kindergarten. The sound of robins returning singing outside the kitchen window. Life had been broken open, yes, but it hadn't ended. And through it all, one truth settled into my bones: family doesn't disappear when tested. It either fractures or it hardens. Ours, battered though it was, had hardened. On the first anniversary of that Christmas morning, I sat again at the kitchen table staring at the empty space where the box had once sat beneath the tree. Linda lit a single candle. We didn't exchange gifts. We didn't sing carols. We just sat together holding hands, waiting for a phone call that might never come. But in the silence, I whispered something I hadn't allowed myself to say aloud before. "I believe you, son." Linda squeezed my hand. Outside, the snow fell gently, as though the world itself had decided to soften for just a moment. If you've listened this far, maybe you've felt the weight of this story in your own heart. Maybe you've wondered what you would do if the people you love most stood accused, if trust itself became the battleground. I don't have answers. I only know that family, faith, and truth are worth holding on to, even when the world tries to tear them apart. If this story stirred something in you, I invite you to share it, to reflect on the ties that hold your family together, and maybe to subscribe for more stories like this. Because sometimes the hardest stories are the ones that remind us most of who we are.